Welcome to the subject Auditing and Assurance Principles. To start, let me first give you an overview of what this course is all about. This course will introduce you all to the role of an external auditor, the audit planning process, specifically understanding an audit client, studying its internal control systems, testing its control and procedures, conducting an analytical procedure, and substantive testing, and drafting the appropriate audit report. Guided by the provisions of the revised accountancy law and with proper application of the provisions and requirements of the international standards in auditing, adopted in the Philippines as the Philippine Standards on Auditing, you learners are expected to evaluate issues and scenarios involving audit and the related services and prepare basic audit documentations. We will be using the book Principles of Auditing and Assurance Services by Cabrera and Cabrera as our main reference material. The first part of this course will introduce you to the assurance and auditing services, starting with a simple discussion on the demand for auditing and assurance services. Auditing and assurance services. What is it and why do we need it? Basically, auditing is for trust. Trust will be the main service offered by an audit. For example, meron tayong isang company. And we all know naman that doing business involves two or more parties entering into a transaction. Yung transaction ng isang company could be end users like investors, creditors like banks, and the government. Before these end users transact with the company, syempre there is a need to establish trust. Trust in the sense that the investors will be confident that the amount of money invested in the company will be able to provide a return, that the resources lent by the banks will be collected together with the related interest, and the government agencies in charge of the collection of taxes will be able to assess the correct amount of tax. The question is, paano ba na-establish itong trust na ito between the company and the investors, the creditors, and the government? Well, it is through financial reporting. Through the issuance of financial statements, end users are provided useful information in making economic decisions. The investors can look at the financial performance of the company through the income statement and identify whether it is profitable, making it able to provide return on the investment. The banks can look at the financial position of the company through the statement of financial position, whether it is liquid and solvent for its obligations. And the government agency, like the Bureau of Internal Revenue or BIR, can look at the financial statements to ascertain the correct amount of tax that should be collected. These financial statements are the end results of financial reporting, which was learned during your intermediate accounting courses. The question now is whether this financial statement reflect true information. You have learned about the general features of financial statements, and ideally, financial statements shall present fairly the financial position, financial performance, and cash flows of an entity. And when we say fair presentation, it is defined as faithful representation, which basically means na kung ano ang nangyari sa transaction, ayun ang ilalagay sa financial statements. And paano nga ito ulit na-achieve? It is through the preparation and presentation of financial statements in accordance with the Philippine Financial Reporting Standards or the PFRS, which represent the GAAP in the Philippines. Hindi sa lahat ng oras ay totoo ang pinapakita ng financial statements ng mga companies. Users of the financial statements are subjected to this what we call information risk, or the risk that information circulated by a company's management to the financial statements will be false, misleading. This mostly happens when the users, like investors, do not have direct involvement in the operations of the company and rather rely only on the copy of FS presented to him. So to reduce this information risk na meron ng mga end users of financial information, dito pumapasok yung tinatawag natin na audit and assurance services. Assurance services is used to describe the broad range of information enhancement services performed by a certified public accountant or CPA that are designed to enhance the degree of confidence in the information. Through attestation services, credibility of the information is enhanced, improving the likelihood that the information will meet the needs of the intended user. A significant portion of the assurance services provided by CPAs is referred to as attestation services. Ano ba ang sinasabi natin na attestation services? Literally, CPAs attest to the reliability of the information. In Tagalog, pinapatunayan ng mga CPAs na reliable ang financial information presented sa mga FS ng mga companies. And when we say reliable, ibig sabihin, maaasahan ng mga information provided sa paggawa nila ng mga economic decisions. And one of the most sought after attestation services, the examination or audit of financial statements. Ano ba yung tinatawag natin na audit? To provide simple definition, audit is the independent examination and evaluation of the financial statements of a company. It is performed to enable the auditor to express an opinion whether the financial statements are prepared in all material respects in accordance with the Philippine financial reporting standards. So for the users to reduce the risk of relying on misleading information, nowadays, they require companies to provide audited financial statements. And that is the very reason why companies engage the service of CPA firms which offer audit services. Kahit magastos ang magpa-audit. With the end goal of doing business with the end users, companies have their FS audited through some entities, though some entities are required by law to present audited financial statements. So, paano ba ginagawa ang financial statement audit? Throughout the course of this subject, the whole process of an audit engagement will be learned. But to give you an overview, in financial statement audit, auditors undertake to gather evidence to obtain high level of assurance that financial statements are free of material misstatements, whether due to fraud or errors, and that they are presented in accordance with the appropriate accounting framework, which in the case of the Philippines is the PFRS. As to guidance, the conduct of audit engagements in the Philippines is guided by the Philippine Standards on Auditing. So to summarize, auditing is in demand because it plays a valuable role in monitoring contractual relationships between a company and the other parties to which it is doing business. The potential risk of relying on misleading information can be mitigated by providing reasonable assurance through performance of audit.